This is Sri Lankan dubstep. Got loads more from Sri Lanka, actually, music-wise, very, very soon. I've got Ranidu on the line. We'll talk to him in about 45 minutes' time about a new genre of music that he's created, so we'll be talking to us about that. Right, this is Breakbeat Sun. You're listening to the BBC Asian Network New Music. This is where we bring all the latest tunes to you before anyone else. And talk about new music. I just spoke about Ranidu earlier on. And I thought, before actually going to him and speaking to him and getting him to play, you know, the new music, I thought, let me play something that he's already sent us before. Because I've been championing him since the show started. I love all his music, whatever he's been making. And particularly this one, it's called Hada Parana. But this is the Toby Tracks remix. This will give you a kind of idea of what Ranidu already makes. Ranidu Pasan, it's called Hada Parana. That's the Toby Tracks remix. It's Yasser on the BBC Asian Network, and I've been building this up for a while, and I thought I'd play this track for you just to kind of know, just to rejig your memories about Ranidu and his sort of music. And I'm very excited to now say I have Ranidu on the Skype line with me right now. What's up, my brother?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? How are you?
I'm great. It's great. It's a nice day in San Francisco. It's still like 2:30 in the afternoon, and it's beautiful.
It's amazing. Yeah, you're calling from San Francisco right now. My producer told me you're in a special location right now. Whereabouts are you?
I'm actually at Google.
You're at
I'm at the Google main office and chilling, you know.
What are you doing in Google? Why are you in Google right now?
I actually, that's my kind of daytime gig, I guess.
Oh, you own Google part-time, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
So you work for Google during the day, and then by night you become this musical genius, I think, to put it lightly. Now, I've played loads of your tunes in the past, as you know. I know you've sort of clipped some and put on SoundCloud and stuff like that. You have been a very bass-driven producer, haven't you?
Yes, yeah. You know, when I started out making dance music like a long time ago in Sri Lanka. About 10 years ago or so. And I actually did the first Sri Lankan, like any dance music track ever in Sri Lanka. And then, it started off like that. And then went from that to R&B and hip hop. But, there was always a beat to the music,
Yeah.
And I wanted to like introduce, up till now, my goal was always to introduce kind of new musical styles. And I know, you helped us out last year with the first dubstep track, Hada Parana, that you played. And then the Toby Tracks remix of that as well that you just played. So that was the first time people in Sri Lanka had heard, dubstep. And that's the type of thing that I was always doing. But then, somewhere at the end of last year, I actually had an opportunity to play like Ultra Music Festival in Miami and also Coachella out here in the US.
Yeah, I saw your tweets about that. I definitely saw your tweets about that.
Yeah, so I was thinking, I did want to present the language as well, but I wanted to actually make something uniquely Sri Lankan to bring to a Western audience And that's when the whole Bailatronic thing started. And I was like, what's in me that nobody else can't produce, or like, what can I make that nobody's ever heard before?
Yeah.
And that's when it all started.
Before we get into Bailatronic, I wanted to ask you, because you were sort of the pioneer of bass music in Sri Lanka. What was the kind of reaction from the Sri Lankan people to your bass music? Was it positive, or did they not really like it?
So at the start, when we started, there was no, kind of youth music at all in Sri Lanka. Everything was, 20 years old. All the popular artists were like from a completely different generation.
Which kind of artists were they?
I mean, they were doing classical music, and they were doing a little bit of this, like the traditional Baila music, and they were just singing in the local language only. There was no like hip hop R&B. Nobody was rapping. Nobody was making dance tracks or trance, or like people were experimenting with Western genres. And then when we started putting music out in our language, we had massive pushback at the start, because I would go to the radio stations, and I remember, because Sri Lanka is very divided in some ways. The English radio stations only play English music. So if you even have a word of Sinhalese, that's our native tongue, they're just going to turn you down right away, saying this is Sinhalese. We don't play Sinhalese music, right? No matter how good it is. And then if you take it to the Sinhalese station, they're used to the old flavor and the classical music and all this stuff that existed, and to their ears it's too Western. Okay. So then, but then you kind of go through and you fight the battles, and you get one track on the radio, and then kids start listening to it, requesting it, and then all of a sudden it becomes a movement. Yeah. And I've gone through that entire process.
So is your music being played on both the sort of the traditional stations and the Western stations in Sri Lanka? So you got a crossover successfully.
Exactly. So what happened was, I think in 2003 or 4, track called Ahankara Nagari, which actually Nihal broke on Radio 1.
He did,
and that was actually the first kind of Sinhalese language track to be played internationally. Wow. And also, like, it was on a compilation. We got on MTV in India, and we got to travel, tour around the world and play at the Sydney Opera House and all this stuff.
Wow.
And then people are like, oh man, this hot, it's Sinhalese. And then all the the people who just used to listen to English and pretend not to listen to anything Sinhalese, although it's good, was like, okay, this is hot. It's undeniable, right? And they started dropping it in the clubs, and then it kind of crossed over, and now there's a youth music market in Sri Lanka. There's kids making hip hop, there's kids trying to make dubstep and trying to make house music.
From there. So you originally started. That's amazing. Now, let's talk about 10 years ago, like progression from there. Bailatronic. So talk me through, how did it come across? So Baila is your traditional Sri Lankan music, right?
Yeah, it's the traditional dance music of Sri Lanka. We play it at weddings. We play it at, the cricket match today. Like, Sri Lanka plays whatever. India, like, people go to there's something called a papara band. They go and they have the trumpet and a couple of, like, drums and a side drum, and they play this type of music. And it's like, it's in a different rhythm. It's based off of kind of Sri Lanka was a Portuguese and a Dutch colony. And so it's based out of that music, the Kafarinya and the Baila music. And that's literally, before we started making dance music in 4/4, that was the only thing Sri Lankans would dance to.
Right.
So basically, I was like, but nobody was doing anything with electronic music in that genre, and I was just thinking, like, why did anybody not try to put some bass into these beats? Because, like, if you listen to a traditional, like a regular Baila track, there's nothing everything's in the mid range and just the highs. You would just hear like that's all you would hear the whole time. So I wanted to just bring the bass into that genre, and then my influences were always Western music and like hip hop R&B. I started listening to trance, and that's when I started producing, and Tiesto. And
whilst hearing actually the Baila bass track that you sent over, you could definitely get the sense of the trance and your different influences kind of put together. Now, for Bailatronic and stuff like that, if people want to go, after I play the track, obviously, if people want to go and find out more from it, where's your websites and stuff? Where can people go and get it from?
So all the Bailatronic stuff is going to go up on Bailatronic.com.
Okay.
And then, it's a new genre. So I'm just encouraging all the kids in Sri Lanka that I know of to like actually just get behind the genre and start producing stuff in the genre as well. Because it's not often that a musician in Korea gets to kind of be like, okay, let's start a genre and let's start something new from scratch, right? So I'm trying to use this as a platform and put some kids on as well.
Brilliant.
And then, Bailatronic.com and SoundCloud.com/Ranidu, and then Facebook.com/Ranidu Online is my official page, and it's verified as well. The first Sri Lankan artist to get verified.
Yeah, I saw that, man. Congratulations on that. I saw the little blue tick, man. Oh, wicked. Okay, cool. So that's where you got to go. I really want to play this now. You've spoken about it loads of where it's kind of come from. I think it's time to let everyone listen to it.
Let's go.
Firstly, Ranidu, thank you so much for taking time out and speaking to us. I know Google needs you right now, so I'll let you get back to them. But yes, this is it. This is Ranidu. This is Baila Bass on the BBC Asian Network.
Baila Bass. Yasser. Baila Bass.
So that's the new genre. Ranidu, Baila Bass. What do you think of it? 81869. Email me newmusic@bbc.co.uk. Tweet me at BBC Asian Network. Or go onto Facebook, BBC Asian Network. Big shout out to Ranidu. Thank you so much for that. Chat, if you missed it, I play it next 7 days. BBC Asian Network.